Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Calvin Mackey of STEM NOLA. Now, I apologize for starting late. It was my fault. I was over there doing something, and they didn't tell me it was time. I apologize. So, I'm so excited about our STEM at home session today because it's rockets. And I love rockets, and I love our partners when we partner when we do rockets. Boeing. Boeing is building the largest rocket in the world right here in New Orleans to take us back to the moon and then to Mars. So we have a lot of support from Boeing, but we also have a lot of engagement with their employees. And today you're gonna meet a real rocket scientist. Also, I'm gonna go outside and get to do what I really like, and that's shoot rockets. Let me tell you something. We're gonna go back live in July, and we're gonna have a citywide in New Orleans Rocket Day. When we come to your town, we usually come and start with a Rocket Day, but it is going to be absolutely amazing. We're gonna have social distancing in the works, but we're gonna shoot a whole bunch of rockets, and we're gonna shoot some rockets today. Parents, we've been doing this since COVID kicked in nearly a year ago. And since COVID kicked in, we've engaged over 17,000 young people in 47 states and 5 countries. Since STEM NOLA was founded 7 years ago, we've engaged over 65,000 K-12 students, 17,000 families, and over 1,500 college students and STEM professionals. At STEM NOLA, we believe we've built a high-functioning STEM community that's child-centered, adult-governed, and elder-ruled. If you can imagine 3 concentric circles, so everything that we do is done through the lens of what's in the best interest of our K-12 scholars. Then we surround our K-12 scholars with college interns that we hire. We've put over $1 million in the hands of college students over the last 7 years. You're gonna meet one of our amazing staff members who used to be a college intern today. And then we surround them with STEM professionals. So today you get to meet me, Dr. Mackey, but you also get to meet my man, Joshua Jeremy from Boeing, who's another professional. And that way we have vertical mentoring. So you can see yourself at any level in the pipeline. Now, parents, in the 21st century, I did a speech the other night from Binghamton University in upstate New York. And I talked about the disenfranchisement of citizens through the advent of technology. In the 21st century, our kids are only gonna have 1 or 3 options. Either they're going to take something, break something, and or make something. And if we don't give them the skills and education to make something, like make a living, make a life, make a difference, it's only gonna leave them with the 2 options that we see on the news every night, and we don't want that for any of our children. Why? Because either we're training our kids from the neck up, or we're training them from the neck down. And if we're training our kids from the neck down, their competition in the 21st century will be the automatic machine. And that's why at Binghamton University, I was talking about the disenfranchisement of the worker through the advent of technology, because with the advent of technology, still to this day, technology is displacing the human being. And we have to find our place in this new world. And COVID has expedited our transformation of companies and processes to automated services. What I have before me is a humanoid. A humanoid is a robot that tries to behave like a human. And this robot, named Alpha, is created by Ubitech Robotics, the largest commercial robotic builder in the country. As you can see, Alpha can do push-ups. As you can see, Alpha can show off just like you. And just like me, after I get off my Peloton in the morning, take me a while to get my faculties back. And then if you're gonna go in the entertainment realm and think you're gonna be there and you're not gonna have competition, Alpha can dance. Go, shorty. Uh-oh, Alpha can twerk. And then Alpha can really show off. Just like me, take Alpha a little while to get up. Give Alpha a hand. Give Alpha a hand. Now, people have inquired about how can you purchase this robot. They have a new version coming out with artificial intelligence, and I'm waiting on that version. And we're negotiating with the company now so STEM NOLA can be a distributor of the robot. And I want you all to get the robot from us because as a distributor, we're going to get a discount. Then I'm going to pass my discount on to you so you don't pay full price. The reason that I love this robot is because we program this robot. And with programming, a lot of times we lose interest because it takes a long time to get a response. But with Alpha, you really can program it and you can see it punch, you can see it kick, you can see it dance. And students really get into it and they really learn to code because they get an immediate response. Young people, that's me talking to your parents, okay? So that's why we do what we do, because our competition in the 21st century will be the automatic machine. And you see it everywhere you go. So either we got to train ourselves, we have to develop our hearts and train ourselves from the neck up so that we can control the robots and the robots won't control us. What does that have to do today? Boeing is building the largest rocket in the world right here in the city of New Orleans. And guess what's at its core? Technology. So no matter what it is you want to do in this world in the 21st century, you will have to have a basis of technology. Now, next up, what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about, I want to show the people who sent in pictures from last week when they made the edible eye, and it was a biology day. My man Javen Moore from Kernersville, North Carolina. I like that new hairdo. Wait till you see my new hairdo. I'm letting it grow out, Javen. To Deron Maxfield in Perryville, Louisiana. We have a STEM Baton Rouge coming up in May. Make sure you sign up, Deron. That's a nice eye. Kaylee from a Becker Academy in Lafayette. Thank you for your beautiful eyes, your edible eyes. I want to see y'all that y'all eat the eye. Milana Montanez from Perryville, Galvez Primary. Elizabeth, manager from Lauderett Academy in New Orleans. Thank you for tuning in. I love those eyes. Now, I'm going to bring to you, STEM NOLA is big on bringing professionals to our young people so they can see that this is real people doing real things. And I'd like to introduce to you Jeremy Joshua, who's the Master Production Scheduler in Space Launch Rocket. He's the Master Production Scheduler for the Space Launch Rocket at Boeing in their New Orleans Michoud facility. And now, after Jeremy, I'm gonna go outside because after Jeremy tell you about these rockets, I'll be outside because we're gonna launch some rockets. Then after we launch the rockets, we're gonna come back in, and the next person that is going to speak to you after we launch the rockets is Lamaya Hall. And Lamaya has been working with STEM NOLA now. We've been here 7 years. I believe Lamaya's really, this is the beginning of her 5th year with STEM NOLA. She's been here like since day one. She was talking about how she got hired. She came in my office. I said, can you do this? She said, yeah. I said, all right then. And she's been here ever since. She's gone from like volunteer to college intern. For the last 2 years, she's been a full-time employee on our staff. She's leaving us to go to medical school. I love to talk about Lamaya because it is proof this thing works. She followed the process. She kept the faith. She stayed the course. She's on her way to becoming a doctor. So, Jeremy Joshua.
So, what is a rocket? A rocket is a projectile that can be propelled to a great height or distance by the combustion.
Why'd you do that? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You need to mute your computer.
Thanks, Dr. Mackey. And hey, STEM NOLA. Thanks for having me on today to talk about rockets. My name is Jeremy Joshua, and I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. I graduated from Louisiana State University with my Bachelor of Science in Economics, and now work for Boeing as a Master Production Scheduler on the Space Launch System program. So, what is a rocket? A rocket is a projectile that can be propelled to a great height or distance by the combustion, the burning of its contents, which give that projectile the thrust it needs to get from point A to point B. And since we're talking about rockets, why not talk about the one being built right here in New Orleans, in our own backyard? We at Boeing are building the core stage of the Space Launch System, the world's most powerful rocket ever made at the NASA Michoud Assembly Facility in New Orleans East. So let's dive right in. At the top left, you see a graphic of our entire rocket in its full configuration. Directly below that image, we see how the 5 main individual articles of the rocket, the forward skirt, the LOX tank, the inner tank, the liquid hydrogen tank, and the engine section all come together to form the core stage, which is the body of the rocket. And below that, we have an even further breakdown, further detailed level. And it's like when Dr. Mackey talks about making something. We start with raw materials, and we take those metals and make them into rings, domes, and barrels that we can then make into something else, the cryo tanks and other articles. It all comes together like a puzzle piece, and this illustrates how it all fits. I mentioned the articles of the rocket in the last slide, but now I want to provide some detail about what each one does. Starting from the top left side, which is the bottom of the rocket, we have the engine section, which delivers propellants from the liquid hydrogen and oxygen tanks to the 4 RS-25 engines. Going right, we have the LH2 tank, which holds 537,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen that has been cooled to negative 423 degrees Fahrenheit. Next is the inner tank, which connects the LH2 and the LOX tank, as well as housing avionics and electronics. Then we have the LOX tank, which holds 196,000 gallons of liquid oxygen cooled to negative 297 degrees Fahrenheit. Lastly, we have the forward skirt, which sits atop of the core stage and houses the flight computers, avionics, cameras, and it's called the brains of the rocket. Underneath, we have real-life pictures of each article. They appear yellow color because they are coated in thermal protection spray to protect the rocket from heat during re-entry into the atmosphere. As this TPS coating is exposed to sunlight, the darker it becomes, which will give the rocket its orange color depicted in the picture above. Now I want to show you a brief video illustrating how this all comes together.
Hi, I'm Amanda Gertie-Jensen, and I'm the Senior Production Manager for Final Assembly for NASA's Space Launch System rocket, and this is Rocket Science in 60 seconds. The core stage is the spine of the SLS rocket. Its 2 huge propellant tanks and 4 RS-25 engines provide over 2 million pounds of thrust to launch NASA's Artemis missions to the moon. Because of the size of the hardware, the core stage components are connected in 3 major joints. First, we made the forward skirt to the liquid oxygen tank to the inner tank to form the top part of the rocket, or the forward joint. Then horizontally, we made the liquid hydrogen tank, followed finally by the engine section. To properly align the flanges as they come together, we use live photogrammetry on 6 bolt locations to make sure they properly align.
This graphic depicts some of the primary manufacturing and testing elements that the rocket goes through. This is a launch vehicle that is rated to carry astronauts, so it is extremely important that it is safe. On the left, we see barrels that are used to make tanks, and the tanks that are created underneath in our stacking areas, which are here in New Orleans. Next to that, we see the qualification liquid hydrogen tank being pressure tested at the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. You want to make sure that the rocket is structurally sound. So this test involved pressurizing it with nitrogen gas and loading it with hydraulics to mimic what it might encounter during flight. And I have a clip that I want to show you of how it looked when we pushed our test tank to the limits. That was pretty cool, right? Next, we have an image of the testing of the RS-25 engines that are being used on the rocket, which takes place at the NASA Stennis Space Center in Mississippi. This is about an hour drive away from New Orleans. Now in March, we actually did a second hot fire test of our rocket where we fired the engines up and let them burn for a full 8 minutes. I won't show the whole video, but I do want you to see a little bit so you can see how amazing this is.
H-buoys on, go for engine start.
H-buoys are on and engine starts has been okay.
And all personnel, we've got engine start and we're for the plus count. All personnel, please continue to monitor your systems and grass is in control. Plus 60 seconds starting CBC profile number.
I want to thank all of you for listening to a brief overview of our Space Launch System rocket, which will bring our astronauts back to the moon and later to Mars. To all the kids out there, stay curious, be open to learning something new, and someday we hope that some of you will be working in space as well. Thanks.
All right. So where we at? All right, I'm sorry. So here we are. We're outside. We have 2 rockets set up. These are 3-cell rockets. And we're gonna have a countdown. These are SDA rockets. We usually shoot like 500 of these when we have a big rocket day. Parents, you can purchase these rockets at your local hobby shops. If you can't find them, get in touch with us. We'll get you who we think are the best ones. But we're gonna have a countdown and then we're gonna blast off. In terms of safety, I'm gonna back up because the rockets are going to come this way. So we're always concerned about safety. So are we ready? Let's get a countdown. See the 2 rockets? 3, 2, 1, blast off. Oh, that's it. That's it. Thank you. We had a great rocket launch. So that's what we want from you all. All right? Rockets are real. Now I'm gonna turn it over to Lamaya.
I am your facilitator for today. Like Dr. Mackey said, I'm originally from Alabama. I got my bachelor's degree in biology from Xavier, got my master's of public health from Xavier, and now I'm actually starting medical school May 1st. So I'm on my way to being a doctor. But today we are talking about rockets. I love rockets because I actually have so much fun launching the rockets, especially with the kids. I miss seeing y'all in person doing the rocket launch because it's actually very, very fun. But we're going to make our own rockets that we can launch in our living room, in our kitchen, wherever you are, at your computer desk, at your school desk, whatever you're at right now, we're going to make a rocket. But first, let's start with our agenda today. As we're going through today as well, there will be polls that'll pop up, and I'll hint at like, hey, here's the next poll that'll pop up, so that just to make sure you guys will remain engaged. So the first thing we're going to look at is some vocab words. Then we're going to go over our objectives, right? So our objectives are our purpose and our reason for being here today. Then we're going to go over some activity questions. We're just going to look at them, take a glance at them, and then we'll actually do our experiment, making our balloon straw rocket, and then we'll answer those questions we looked at earlier. Then I'll give you guys some time to ask me some questions. So our first poll question is about to pop up on the screen right now. Before we go over our vocab terms, it should pop up really soon. Give it a second. I'll just start going over vocab words until it pops up. It's taking a second. So our first vocab word is force. Force is a push or pull that acts on an object, right? So if you push the table, or like you push on the table, you're creating a force on that table. Here's our poll question. What are we experimenting with today? This is our first poll question for today. It popped up in between our first vocab word. I want you guys to answer that for me. Are we experimenting with rockets, wind, or buoyancy and density? I like buoyancy and density because I can play with the water. But I kind of like rockets because they go in the sky. Give you guys a couple more seconds. What are we experimenting with today? That is correct. Yes, we are experimenting with rockets. Perfect. So let's go back to our next vocab word. Our first one was force. Remember, that's that act of pushing and pulling on an object. So think about just pushing on the table. That's a force you're applying to that table. But the table is actually applying a force back up that actually keeps it stable. So our next vocab word is thrust. Thrust is that forward force that propels an object in the direction of motion. So when you think about a rocket, right, it's gonna, it has that forward force that pushes that rocket up into the sky, right? That's what we call thrust. So our next vocab word is inertia. Inertia is the tendency of an object to resist a change in its state of motion, right? So the object isn't gonna change, it's gonna resist that change, and it's gonna stay what it is while it's moving. Velocity. Velocity is the speed of something in a given direction. So basically, how fast it's going. So when the rocket takes off and you measure how fast it's going, that's its velocity. Our last vocab word is kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is basically the energy of motion. It's the energy an object has due to its motion. So when an object is moving or doing something and it's in motion, that's what kinetic energy is. So let's go on ahead and look at our objectives for today. So our objectives for today, we want you guys to understand the meaning of the terms force, inertia, friction, and acceleration, thrust as well. And we want you to be able to apply them to create your own balloon straw rocket. So we're going to use these vocab words we talked about: inertia, force, thrust, kinetic energy, and we're going to use these vocab words to create our own straw rocket. So our questions of the day, we're just looking at these right now. We're not going to answer them just yet. So our first question is a fill in the blank. Every blank has an equal and opposite blank. So we'll learn about that. And you'll be able to answer those blanks. The second question is, what is that forward force that pushes the balloon straw rocket upward? So what's pushing that balloon straw rocket upward? What's that forward force we talked about? And what form of energy is released when you let go of that balloon straw rocket? So we're going to talk about different energy changes as well. So let's go on ahead, look at our materials for our experiment today before we start our balloon straw rocket. So before we begin, what I'm going to do, I'm going to read over the materials. As I'm reading over the materials, we'll give you time to gather those, and I'll read the science behind it. So the first thing we need is a balloon. The second thing you need is a straw. You'll also need some tape, paper, scissors, and a pencil. You do not have a balloon. If you don't have a balloon, I don't know how to do this without one. Maybe try, no, because that's not going to create a force enough to do it. maybe you could just watch today and maybe you can get a balloon tomorrow so that you could do it tomorrow. A glove, if you have gloves, maybe if you have some type of like latex or nitrile glove in the house, you could use a glove to see if that may work. So as you're grabbing these materials, let's go over the science behind it. So like all objects, rockets use Newton's laws of motion, right? So our first law of motion, it's also known as the law of inertia. It states that an object at rest will stay at rest, right? So if an object isn't moved, it's not going to move. However, an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by another force, right? So if I push a car, like a toy car, it's going to remain in motion until another force acts upon it to stop it, which will be like gravity, or if it hits, runs into the wall or a chair or something, that's another force that's going to stop that from moving. So there are two forces acting on a rocket at the moment of liftoff. Thrust is what is that force, that forward force that pushes the rocket off the ground. So gas is pushed downward, and which then allows the rockets to push upward. So basically, for every reaction, there's an equal and opposite. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So the weight is it, and so the weight is also a downward force. I mean, the weight is also a force due to gravity pulling the rocket downwards towards the center of the earth, right? So weight will be pointing down when you look at the force arrows. So let's go on ahead and start building our rockets. So the first thing, actually, what you're going to need is some scissors and your balloon. I'm going to use my green balloon today because I like green and I like STEM NOLA. So the first step, I'm just going to cut the neck of the balloon. It may be a little tough, so you may have to add some tension, like pull it down a little bit so that it'll be tight enough to have an easy cut. So just cut the neck, half of the neck of the balloon. Do not cut it all the way off. As you can see, I just cut a portion of it. So that's the neck of the balloon that you blow, and I just cut about half of that off. That's all you need. So I'm going to take this here, and I'm going to take my straw. So I have different types of straws. If you have a bendy straw, I would suggest just cutting off that bendy part so that it doesn't get in the way. If you have a jumbo straw, it should work the same. I can do one with a jumbo straw and a regular straw to see if they have, if there's any difference. So our next step, you're just going to take your straw and stick it into the balloon where you cut it. You don't have to stick it all the way in, just a little bit. And I'm going to take a piece of tape and wrap the neck of the balloon to the straw. So I just got maybe 3 inches of tape, nothing too crazy. And I'm just going to wrap it a few times. So when I'm wrapping it, my tape is half on the balloon, half on the straw to make sure I'm getting both. And I'm wrapping it pretty tight, not to where, don't squeeze your straw though. Don't squeeze your straw, but wrap the tape enough to where, okay, wrap the tape enough to where it is tight around the balloon and the straw so that air can't escape. So let me repeat the first 2 steps I did. So, and I'll repeat it with my jumbo straw so that y'all can see it with a big straw and a jumbo straw. I mean, a skinny straw and a jumbo straw. So the first step I did, I cut that neck of the balloon. Remember, we held it tight. On the scissors, parents, you may have to help with this part just because balloons are a little tricky to cut. And I pulled it tight and I just cut a little bit of the neck of the balloon off, just like this. So the next thing I did, I grabbed my straw and I stuck it inside of my balloon. Not all the way, just in there, just a little bit, right? So then my next step, I grabbed maybe like a 3-inch piece of tape. and I wrap the neck of my balloon around my straw. So when I put the tape on there, I made sure half the tape was on the balloon and the straw, and half of the tape was on the balloon, half the tape was on the straw. Just like that. So now, as you can see, we have 2. All right. So our next step, you can't have a rocket without fins. We have to put our fins on our rocket. So what I'm going to do, this is what your pencil is for, or you can fold your paper. That is completely up to you. I'm going to draw me some fins. The way I'm going to draw my fins is I'm just going to make small triangles using the paper. And all I'm going to do is literally draw a diagonal. Draw a diagonal on my paper. And I'm actually going to do it 2 times. Well, really 4 times. We can do it 4 times, so we can have 4 fins. Draw another diagonal in the other corner. Draw one more after this one. Now we have some fins, some triangle fins. I tried to make them as even as possible. Y'all think I did a good job? I'm not good with lines. So once I draw my fins, all I'm going to do is just cut along that diagonal line. And that should give me triangles that are going to come out as my fins. So I'm going to take this here. And you don't have to cut exactly on the line. I definitely missed the line, but it's okay. We still have a fin. That one too. I actually have a couple pieces of paper on top of each other. That's why I have so many fins falling when I cut. And like I said, I'm just cutting all 4 corners. Nothing crazy. And you don't even have to do 4 fins if you don't want to. You can do 3 fins. You actually have a really cool shape. You can turn this into like a stop sign or something. Make you a cute little sign for the room using your leftover paper. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these fins that we've cut, right? And I'm going to put them on the end of my straw that's opposite from the balloon. So we're not going to put them on this side, the same side as the balloon. We're going to put them on this side here. And all it takes is a little piece of tape. And you want your fins so that when you stand your rocket up like this, like when you stand your rocket up, this fin is flat at the bottom. Y'all see that? The flat part of the fin is in line like with the bottom of the straw. So I'm going to grab a piece of tape about the length of my fin. Just put it on the fin like this. And all I'm going to do is wrap it around the straw. And we're going to do this a couple times. I think I only want 2 fins on this one. Then you have this. You can put this one on this side like this. And I'm going to take this, another piece of tape. And put it on the opposite side. Make sure when you use the tape that it's not covering the hole on your straw. So you see, like, I have a little excess tape at the end. I'm just going to take my scissors and cut that off so that it doesn't cover the whole of my straw. Because you don't want that covered, because then you won't be able to blow in your straw to launch your rocket. Now, if you want a 3rd fin, there's definitely room for that 3rd fin. If you want 3, I think mine kind of looks cool with 2. That's up to you. You can always put that 3rd or 4th fin. I'm gonna do some more fins just so you guys can see. So I'm gonna do my jumbo straw as well and do 2 more fins on my jumbo straw. Like I said, I took my fin, put a little piece of tape on it, and just basically tacked it onto my straw, just like this. Just like that. Next thing, gonna get 1 more fin, throw some tape on it. Tack it onto the other side. Now, I want to put 1 more fin on this one. I'm going to do 1 more fin, and then I'll show you guys how to launch our rockets, and we'll get ready for takeoff. So I stuck 1 more fin on here. This one's pretty cool. My jumbo straw has 3 fins. It's pretty cute. You guys, rockets looking good? I hope so. All right. So, how are we going to launch our rockets? Okay, so I'll repeat the steps 1 more time. So what we did was we cut the tip off of our balloon, right? So that was just this little portion of the balloon. We cut about this much off. Next, what we did was we put a portion of our straw, just a little bit, only about this much is in my actual balloon, and we taped it. So after we taped it, we went over and we just cut some diagonals out of our paper. Literally just cut off the corners of our paper in diagonals to make some fins. So then we ended up getting triangle fins. Once we got our triangle fins, we just took a small piece of tape and taped it onto the base of our rocket. Remember, it's opposite the end of the balloon. So if your balloon's here, your fins are at the bottom. So we taped our balloon at the top, then we taped our fins at the bottom. So I'm going to give you guys a couple more seconds to finish up those last few steps. And you guys let me know when you're ready. And we can move forward to launching our rockets. We're going to have a countdown. We'll start from 3, and then it'll be 3, 2, 1, and then blast off. Okay, so when we say blast off, is when we're going to launch our rockets first. But we have to get our rockets prepped for that. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple more seconds to finish these last couple steps of your rockets, building your rockets. Once you complete those last couple steps, let me know if you're ready for takeout. T minus 60 seconds. Once you are ready, we have to prepare our rockets. So how we're going to prepare our rockets, what do I mean by that? We're going to blow into our straw, inflate our balloon. Once you inflate that balloon, you have to hold the tip of your rocket, and then you have to kind of plug it. And in order to release the rocket for takeoff, you got to move your finger, and then it'll take off. You may actually be able to pinch the top if you can pinch it good enough to where air won't escape so that your balloon won't deflate. So we're going to try to blow up our balloons as much as we can through our straw. Then we're going to plug it. Then we're going to release them all at the same time. Y'all ready? Let me know when you're ready, and then we can start blowing them up. All right, you guys are ready. I'm gonna slide my fins up a little bit. I'm gonna slide my fins up just a tad. If you guys need to, please take this time to slide your fins up so that you're not blowing onto your fins when you're getting ready for takeoff. I just slid mine up just a tad bit. Nothing crazy. All right, so I'm gonna blow into my straw, blow up my balloon. So you guys do this as well. So you can pinch the straw. If it's hard for you to do that really quickly, just pinch it. Pinch the straw in the middle. The air will stop. I mean, it'll release slower. It's not gonna 100% stop, but it'll release slower. I'm gonna do one more breath, maybe 3 or 4 breaths total. That was 2. I'm gonna do maybe 1.5 more. And this one's with my jumbo straw. So the way to launch your rocket, you have to, I had to check because there's a camera above me, so I gotta make sure that it doesn't get the camera. So as you see, I just literally take my hand, I flip it. When I flip it, my rocket is ready for takeoff. All right, you guys ready? I'm gonna show you mine first, then we'll come back and do it together because I got another rocket with you guys. Ready? I'm gonna show y'all how to do it this first time. I'll come back with this one and then we'll all do it together and have our countdown. So 3, 2, 1. Woo! That one's a good one. That one went back there. I can't get that one. It's okay, because I have another. That's why you make 2, guys. You always make 2. So, like I said, I'm going to move my fins up just a little bit so that I'm not blowing into my fins instead of the straw. We don't want that to happen because the fins aren't going to make it move. It's the straw. That's the key to our success here. Balloons and our straw. So what's happening is there's that thrust, that upward force that allowed our rocket to take off that you saw the first time. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So think about that first action. When I blew up the balloon and I let it go, there was the air, all the air was pushing down towards the table. So what's that equal and opposite reaction of air pushing down on the table? Our rocket is propelling into the air. So for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So let's do our countdown. Everybody grab your rockets. Get ready to blow them up. Let me know if you're ready. Send me a thumbs up. Okay. A hello. Get on with the show. Whatever you need. So I'm going to do 3 breaths and then we're going to do a countdown. All right. This one blew up a lot bigger than the other one. So that was 3 breaths. I have my rocket. Hope you guys have your rocket. I don't know if y'all can type in the chat now. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, blast off. When I say blast off, let's all release it at the same time. Let's get videos. Let's get pictures and send them to webinar STEM NOLA. All right. You guys ready? Let me do it. I'm going to pinch it with the other hand. All right. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Oh, that one didn't go as high. Woo! That one's really still going, guys. If you could see this, that balloon was really like turning circles. My rocket was doing donuts. Oh, look. My big one came back. Good job, guys. I hope you've had fun with this one. I really enjoyed this rocket experiment. It's really cute. It's really fun. And it also truly shows you that equal and opposite force that Newton talks about. Something pushes down on the table, which propels it up into the air. And that's that thrust, which is that upward force, right? So what's happening is our energy that we create so we blow air into the balloon, which creates that potential energy. That's energy that has the potential to do something, right? Our stored energy. When we release, it converts into kinetic energy. So when our rocket is flying, it's turning into kinetic energy because now it's in motion. So now we have changes in energy from potential energy to kinetic energy. We have that thrust upward force, and for every action, we have an equal and opposite reaction. So remember that, guys. So now it's time to go back to our questions. Let's answer these quick poll questions. Our first one, for every blank, there is an equal and opposite blank. That poll's about to pop up on the screen in a second. Fill in the blank. For every blank, there's an equal and opposite blank. Remember, this is exactly what we just talked about. Give you guys a couple more seconds to input those answers. Give you guys a few more seconds, like 5 more seconds. All right, let's see those answers. Perfect. Yes, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Good job, guys. So our next question is, what is that forward force that pushes the balloon straw rocket upward? So what's that upward force we talked about? That upward force we talked about that's causing our rockets to launch in the air. You have to trust and believe that this force will take your rocket to the sky. Very caught on to that one. Give you guys a few more seconds to answer this one. Dana sees some good answers, y'all. Exactly. That is thrust. Thrust is that forward force that propels our rockets into the air. So our third question, what form of energy is released when you let go of the balloon straw rocket? What type of energy? What energy did we talk about earlier today? Think about what state your balloon rocket is in when you let go. Is it moving? This is easy. Let's see. Give you guys about 7.65 more seconds to answer this question. And I know exactly how much time 7.65 seconds is. Perfect. Yes, that's that kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of motion. Potential energy is stored energy. That's the energy when we blew up the balloon and we were holding it. That's potential. But when we released it and allowed our rocket to take off, that is that kinetic energy we were talking about. Good job, guys. You did great with today's session. You did great with the questions. I hope you enjoyed today's session. So now it's time for you guys to ask us some questions. Dr. Mackey's about to come on so he can answer some questions and talk about our upcoming events.
So give it up for Lamaya. Give it up for Lamaya. Yay. Yay. We are so proud of Lamaya. She's on her way. So, what's next? I don't think I have any programs to talk about because, believe it or not, we don't have any STEM Saturdays this Saturday coming up. Absolutely amazing. So the staff looking at me like, thank you. It's going to be a Saturday where they can go and be and do and not work. So I really appreciate them for committing and volunteering, not volunteering, but committing their time. I had cricket. Committing their time and their life to you every Saturday. We have events every Saturday, so it takes a lot for people to say, I'm gonna come work in the morning so these young people can get what they need for the future. So come in May, we'll be doing a STEM Saturday on the heart and circulation. You can go to www.stemnola.com. We're going to be having some virtual summer camps, some in-person summer camps. That should be released real soon. Sorry, but we've been working hard to get everything straight for you all. Make sure you email pictures to webinar@stemnola.com if you got a video of your rocket. Hope you all like the rocket outside. You saw us shoot 2 rockets because, we never know, when we have a malfunction. One of them malfunctioned. After that, we shot the rocket. We shot the rocket off. So here are the events coming up on May 1st. The Department of Defense STEM Saturday in Shreveport. If you're in the Shreveport area, you can sign up for that, and we ship the kits directly to you. If you're in the Minneapolis area, Saturday, May 1st, we having heart and circulation with Northside STEM District on the north side of Minneapolis, right where George Floyd was murdered. So we are happy to be playing a role in helping that community come back together. And then STEM NOLA STEM Saturday, which is May 8th, is open to everyone in the country. No matter where you are, you can enroll. You have to pay a shipping fee to get your kit, but you can enroll. Okay, so with that, I'll sign off. Again, I want to say thank you. Again, I want to say the best life future to Lamaya. She's helped us build this, and her name will be on every page, on every paragraph, and every book that ever get written about STEM NOLA, because she's been an instrumental part. So parents, students, educators, thank you, and y'all have a great, great, great weekend. Bye.